Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 89 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine, where our campaign battle takes place in the vast void of space, as the Necron overlord launches an assault on the Imperium ship Rapacious, which is carrying an important Inquisitor. Hello, I'm Mike, and this is where we are, the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 89 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine today. And this issue came with Lord Inquisitor Kyria Draxus, who doesn't really fit into any of our other Imperium factions. But if you'd like to see her in action, you can skip ahead to today's battle report. We'll have a look through the issue first. First up, we have the battle record for Kyria Draxus. She is a member of the Ordo Xenos, which is a branch of the Inquisition dedicated to dealing with the alien threat. You can see it goes over her equipment. She's notable for carrying Dirge Singer, which is an Eldari weapon that was gifted to her, because much like the Eldari, she has an intense hatred of the Necrons. And she is also accompanied by Shang, which is a Wyback, a sort of psychically joined creature. You can come up with a reason for why she's appearing in the Ramasus system, although, as we'll see later on, it seems she's searching for Illuminor Szeras. Now we have a little bit more backstory on the Leagues of Votan. This covers the Urgver, also known as the Ogre, which is a great warp rift that appeared as a result of the Great Rift opening, and it's sort of the first incursion of chaos into the Votan home systems. And it mentions Uther the Destined, who led his Oathband in battle against these Chaos Invaders. But this is sort of how the Leagues of Votan became known to the wider galaxy. And then we have actually two short stories here. First up, chronicling Kyria Draxus' search for Illuminor Szeras, fighting alongside some Tempestus Scions. But as you can see, it cuts halfway through to be from Illuminor Szeras' perspective. And there you can see a nice close-up of her painted model just there. But then we can see her build guide. She's pretty simple to put together, and she's not too fragile either. And maybe we need to be a little bit careful with Shang's tail, and remember to dry fit everything before we glue it together to make sure you fit it correctly. And her painting guide, she is painted in a fairly similar way to the Battle Sisters, even though she technically isn't one. Just a few details to note along Dirge Singer, and there's a bit of blue there on Shang to help him stand out, otherwise she would look very similar to the Battle Sisters, to be honest. There are a lot of details, and she is a Lord Inquisitor, so she'll be a fairly important character within the setting, so it is worth taking a little bit more time. And you can see her finished model there. We do have a fold out with this issue. I won't fold it out yet because otherwise you'll spoil the ending of the campaign, but it does have a nice map here of the entire Ramasus system, and it notes that even though this particular campaign might finish, there is no doubt to be further battles ahead if you want to. But I will show you the inside, where we have a hobby decision maker. So if you've been collecting this collection and you're suffering from a bit of sort of hobbyist block and you're not entirely sure where to go next, maybe this flowchart will help you out. So you can pause here and have a look for yourself, but in the meantime I'll hand you over to Will and he'll take us into today's game.
And we've got our datasheet for Kyria Draxus. She costs 4 power, she's an HQ choice. She has a 6-inch move, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3 because she's still a normal human, but she does have 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9 and a 3+ save from her power armour. She's equipped with Dirge Singer, an 18-inch range, assault 2, strength 4, AP 0, 2 damage weapon, but a wound roll of 6+, has an armour penetration of -3 instead, and her Power Fist, which is the usual times 2 strength, -3 AP 2 damage, with -1 to hit. For her abilities, she has one called Quarry, which is actually common to all Inquisitors, and it lists all of the different Ordos here, but as an Ordo Xenos one, she actually gets to use part of this rule, so I'm not sure why they printed all of it, but that means that when she's attacking a unit that is not Chaos, Imperium or Unaligned, so Necrons, she can re-roll hit rolls and wound rolls. Other Ordos obviously do that against different targets. Unquestionable Wisdom means that friendly Imperium units within 6 inches can use her leadership instead of their own. Her Paralysis with Grenades means that at the start of the fight phase, if she made a charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range, and that unit has to fight last. She has a 5+ invulnerable save, and her familiar Shang means that when she casts the Smite Psychic power, she can pick the target within 18 inches, rather than it having to affect the closest. She is of course a Psyker. She can manifest 1 Psychic power and attempt to deny 1 in the opponent's Psychic phase. She knows Smite and Dominate, which we'll have a look at in a moment. She has the Inquisition and Ordo Xenos keywords. So she doesn't gain any of the army rules of the other factions, but she also doesn't stop them from using them, because she has the Agent of the Imperium keyword as well. And here is Dominate. It has warp charge value of 6. If manifested, you can select one enemy model within 12 inches that is not a vehicle and roll 3d6. If that's equal to or greater than the enemy model's leadership, you can immediately shoot with one weapon as if it were your shooting phase, or make one attack as if it were the fight phase. In either case, you treat the enemy model as being one of your models until that attack has been resolved. It does mean you can pick out individual models from a unit, so it could be handy. And she also has a special, well, it says command trait, it should say warlord trait. If she's your warlord, then she has the radical warlord trait, which means that once per battle round she can reroll one hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, saving throw, psychic test, or deny the witch test. And then a tutorial for the paralysis grenade, so having charged the Necron Overlord, she can make him not be able to fight until after all eligible units have done so. And manifesting Dominate takes over the control of the Scorpec Destroyer with the big hyperphase weapon, who then goes on to kill another member of its unit. And then onto our game. Inquisitor Draxus' small flotilla has arrived in the system, but it's been immediately engaged by a Necron warship, which they can't defeat with the firepower that they have, so they're trying to outrun it. But unfortunately the Necrons have managed to board her flagship, and so they now need to repel the boarders. So we have our campaign mission Void Battle. It's 75 power. We're on 4 battle mats. We have 6-inch deployment zones from the log edges, and there's one objective deployed to start with, right in the middle of the battlefield. But as it explains here, players then take it in turns, starting with the defender to place objectives. The defender places 3 and the attacker places 2. Each objective must be more than 9 inches from any other objective and more than 6 inches from the battlefield edge. The primary objective is the usual capture of control, 10 victory points for 1 or more objectives, 2 or more objectives, or more than the opponent. Cannot be scored in the first battle round for a maximum of 30 per turn. And we pick secondaries as normal. So we'll show you our armies and get straight into it. So here is my 75 power of Necrons. We're led by the Necron Overlord. He will be the Warlord with Thrall of the Silent King to increase his aura and ability ranges. Also joining us are the Technomancer, the Chronomancer, and the Hexmark Destroyer. Technomancer will have the failsafe Overcharger Cryptic Arcana, and the Chronomancer is standing next to the 2 Crypto Thralls. We've also got a bodyguard of Lichguard for the Overlord, the usual 3 troops units, 2 units warriors and 5 mortals, 3 Scorpec Destroyers with a plasma sight, 5 Deathmarks, 5 Flayed ones, the Locust Heavy Destroyer with the Gauss Exterminator, the 3 Wraiths with Transdimensional Beamers, the Canoptic Spider with all of the add-ons, and 2 units of 3 Canoptic Scarabs. And for my campaign reward, I'm going to take the one from the previous game, which is that my whole army gets light cover in the first battle round. And here is our 75 power of Imperium defending the ship.
Yeah, a bit of a mix of all 3 factions once again. Across the front we've got a captain, the lieutenant, the Tech Priest Dominus, and our new Inquisitor Lord Kyria Draxus. But the captain will be my warlord, who'll have the Imperium Sword, Warlord trait, and the Blade of St. Marcius. That's my campaign reward. Otherwise we've got the usual Admech contingent with the Skitarii Rangers and the Cataphrone Destroyers. We've got some Battle Sisters with the Battle Sister Squad and the Seraphim, and the rest are Marines with the Aggressors, 2 units of 5 Assault Assessors, a unit of 5 Infiltrators, the Eliminators, and the Dreadnought.
Here is our battlefield representing the engine decks of the Rapacious, and as instructed we've placed the objectives. So objective 1 is in the centre that you can see, and then going up to the top and then clockwise round. Objective 2 is actually underneath the Skitarii Rangers, which you can just see at the top of your picture. Then 3 is over towards the right hand corner, 4 in the building on the bottom right, 5 over on the bottom left, and 6 up by the black cargo container. Having a look at the Necron deployment first, so over on the left-hand side near Objective 5, we've got the Scorpec Destroyers and their plasma sight hiding behind this container. The Chronomancer is over here to support this side. He's behind the Deathmarks and the unit of Warriors with Gauss Flayers. Behind the central building, we've got the Overlord, the Lichguard, the Locust Heavy Destroyer, 1 unit of Scarabs, and the Immortals. And on the other flank, we've got the other unit of Warriors with the other unit of Scarabs, the Wraiths, the Technomancer, the Canoptic Spider, and the Crypto Thralls. And the Hexmark Destroyer and the Flayed ones are in dimensional translocation. And having a look at the Imperial deployment on the other side.
So we've got most of the Marines on my right flank, near Objective 6. There's the Lieutenant, the Captain, both units of Assault Assessors, and the Dreadnought. Towards the middle, we have the Eliminators on top of that building. The Rangers made their 3-inch ranger move, so they get all over Objective 2. Kyria Draxus is tucked in behind the building. The Dominus and the Cataphrons are just to her left. And over by Objective 3 I have the Battle Sister Squad behind the pink cargo container and the Infiltrators behind those barrels. Obviously the Seraphim are in Deep Strike and the Aggressors are in Strategic Reserves. My Sacred Right for the few Battle Sisters units is going to be Divine Guidance, the one where they get extra AP if they have 6 to wound. And my secondary objective will be Raise the Banners, because I start with so many objectives on my side of the board.
Whereas my secondary objective will be Attrition, and the campaign is currently evenly balanced, so there are no special rules in play, but whoever wins this game will get the bonus in the final battle, so it's all to play for. So just rolling off to see who gets the turn number 1. I've rolled a 1.
And I've rolled a 4, so I think I will choose to go first.
So with that we'll be into Imperium turn 1. Protocol for this battle round will be the Undying Legions. I go for the directive, which lets me reroll a reanimation protocol roll. The Marines start in the Devastator Doctrine. The Miracle Dice was a 2.
We're going for the Protector Imperative, the +1 ballistic skill, +1 weapon skill, and we'll do Shroud Song for the Canticle. So for movement, the Marines have moved up. This squad here is going to move around and do the raise the banners action on objective 6. Captain and Lieutenant falling behind. Dreadnought moved up normally, get behind the wall, and the Assault Intercessors advance to get behind the wall. In the middle, Admech forces have all moved forwards. Skitarii getting all into the ruins. Illuminators staying where they are. Kyria Draxus is moving into the ruins, and she's going to do the action there on objective 2. And on my left, both of the units are going to stay where they are for now, and the battle sisters are just in range of objective 3, and they'll do the raise the banners action there. Also in my command phase, I'm going to spend 2 command points for Data Blessed Auto Sermon for the Cataphrons, who are going to have Benediction of the Omnissiah active as well as Shroud Song. So I'm going to start shooting with the Redemptor Dreadnought, only its Plasma Incinerator will be in range, and we're going to put it into those death marks. So D6 shots for 1. You know what, I'm going to command point reroll that because let's do more than 1. 6, that'll do. Hitting on 3s because it's undamaged. Rerolling 1s because there's a core unit and there's a captain nearby. 4 hits, wounding on 3s, you roll 1s. That's 3 wounds at -5, so it's just 3 dead.
But we do get reanimation. 5s. Getting 2 back, and I can reroll 1 because of the protocol. No, so only 1.
I'll do the Illuminators next. They're going to put some Mortis rounds into the Immortals. So 3 shots on 2s, not quite in range of the captain. We will hit. Wounding on 4s, 6 to do a mortal wound in addition. So that's 2 wounds at -3.
But we have got cover from the campaign reward, so these will be saving on 5s. Failed both saves though, so 2 Immortals dead. They both come back.
Skitarii Rangers next. We're going to put everything into the Warriors with Gauss Reapers.
After reanimation, that only actually killed 1 warrior effectively, with 2 coming back.
We've only got the Cataphrons left, and they'll put some shots into the Immortals. So did the grab off camera, and it killed 1 Immortal, and then 2d6 shots from the Plasma, which we're not supercharging, for 9 on 4s. We can reroll 1 dice with Benediction. 5 hits, wounding on 3s. Rerolling with Benediction. 5 wounds at -3.
So 5 to save because of the reward. Oh dear. They're all dead actually, yes, and no reanimation. And then at the end of the turn, the banners are raised on objectives 2, 3, and 6. And that will be the end of the turn. No morale test necessary, so on to Necron's turn 1. So a bunch of stuff happened in the command phase, but I'll go over that as we get to it. Although one of those things was putting the Chronomatron Invulnerable save on the Scorpic Destroyers, which got a decent advance roll, getting onto objective 5. The Warriors here moved normally with the Chronomancer behind them, did not advance. The Deathmarks just shuffled around to get some cover from these barrels. The Lich Guard and the Overlord advanced up behind the Hematech Reactor. There's some Scarabs moved into the middle as well, and the Locust Heavy Destroyer just peeking out so it can see the Redemptor Dreadnought. On the other side, the Wraiths advanced into the building on objective 4, followed by Scarabs, Warriors, the Spider, and the Technomancer, who's moved to get within reanimation fixing range of the Lich Guard, and the Crypto Fool's just about managed to advance far enough to keep up with him. So the only units I can shoot with are these 3 you can see on the screen, so we'll begin with the Locust Heavy Destroyer shooting at the Redemptor Dreadnought. Although that lone wall there does give it dense cover, so it will actually be -1 to hit. So the 1 shot, but it hits on 4, rerolling 1s. 2 is no good at all, so we'll reroll that with a command point. Into a hit, and then we'll actually use a second command point for all technoreactor targeting to automatically wound. -4 AP, so no save, so just 3d3 damage, -1 because it's a Dreadnought. Ooh, that's going to be 7 total, 8 down to 7. So that brings the Dreadnought down to 6, and it does affect its profile, but then the rest of the shooting, both the Warriors shot at the closer Assault Intercessors and did nothing, and the Deathmark shot at the ones further back and did 2 wounds that were saved. So that will be the end of my turn. Obviously I didn't get attrition because I did not destroy anything, and we'll be on to Imperium turn 2. So we're moving to Protocol of the Vengeful Stars with extra AP on 6s to wound with shooting. The Marines move into the Tactical Doctrine. Miracle Dice was a 5.
And we'll do Benediction of the Omnissiah for the Canticle, and Bulwark Doctrine for the Doctrina Imperative. In the command phase I also gained 33 victory points, 10 for having 1 objective, another 10 for having 2, and 10 for having more than the Necrons, and then 3 for my banners. And then moving, we have moved this unit of Assault Intercessors around the box just to get them out of the way. Dreadnought has shuffled across a bit so it has a slightly better view of the Heavy Destroyer. Captain and the Lieutenant have moved, so their aura covers the Illuminators now. And then the only other movement on that side of the board is the Cataphrons moving forward a bit so that the 2 Flamers can get in range of the Wraiths. Also, the Battlesisters have moved out from behind their box so that they can see things to shoot at. I'm spending 2 command points for Defenders of the Faith on them. And then bringing in both my reinforcement units, I'm bringing in the Aggressors down here near the Scorpic Destroyers. And then the Seraphim are coming in behind in the Necron deployment zone near the death marks. I'm going to spend my command point for Deadly Descent. So the black dice will be an unsupercharged plasma pistol shot from the Superior, and then these all hit on 3s. And the white dice, the bolt pistols, wound on 5s, the black dice wounds on a 3. And the 6s are an extra -1.
So that means that the black will automatically just kill one, because it'll be -4 with the extra AP, and we have a save at -1 with a bolt pistol, which is failed, and a 3+, which is passed. So 2 dead, and neither come back.
In the psychic phase, Kyria Draxus is just about in range of the race, so she'll try and smite them, needing a 5. Getting a 10.
The spider will be in range to try and deny, needing an 11 though. Oh, a 9, no, it does go off.
D3 mortal wounds to the wraiths. 1. So going to start shooting with the flame storm gauntlets from the aggressors into the Scorpic destroyers. So 66 automatic hits, 19 hits, wounding on 5s. So it looks like 8.
8 4+ saves because we're in the tactical version. Ah, only failed 2.
Seraphim shot at the death marks, did manage to kill one but it came back. So I'll do the Dreadnought next. It's going to put the Plasma Incinerator into the Heavy Destroyer, see if I can peel it off. It will be hitting on 5s, but you never know. All the other guns are going to go into the Scorpic Destroyers, because you can just about see them, see if we can finish off at least the wounded one. D6 shots at the Heavy Destroyer, 4. Hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s because of the Captain. Nothing.
The other guns finish off the Wounded Destroyer and killed another one, so we'll get 6 reanimation protocol rolls. And we get nothing, so there's only 1 Destroyer left.
Do the Skitarii Rangers next. I'm going to supercharge the Plasma Caliber, and you can just about see that Lich Guard on the end, so we'll shoot at them. Everyone else is going to shoot at the Crypto Thralls and try and get rid of them.
4 wounds from rifles on the Crypto Thralls, taking 1 wound. But just 1 wound because the arc rifle and the sniper failed to do any more damage.
And then Plasma at the Lich Guard, reroll that 1 into a hit, and then 3s. Nothing. We had some bolt pistol shots from the intercessors that didn't achieve anything. I'll do the Cataphrons next. We'll put the grab into the Crypto Thralls, everything else with supercharged plasmas into the Wraiths. So do grab around on the Crypto Thralls on 4s, I'll take that. 4s. 2 wounds at -3.
They haven't got any cover, so 6s. No, they're both dead.
The heavy plasmas on the Wraiths, getting 10 shots on 4s. So I'll reroll 1 with Benediction and 1 with a command point. But there will be a mortal wound to Gravman. And the rerolls, get another hits, 5 hits. Wounding on 3s. Rerolling for free with Benediction. That's 5 wounds at -3.
Vulnerable saves with the Wraiths. Oh, made 4, so that will still finish off the wounded one. We've got 4 wounds from the Flamers, but we've got a 2+ save from cover. Oh, still taking another wound though, so 1 Wraith is destroyed for a plasma, and it does not come back.
Kyria Draxus is also just in range of the race, and she can see one through the window, so she'll fire Dirge Singer at them. So just 2 shots hitting on 3s, but re-rolling everything because she's an Ordo Xenos. Inquisitor firing at an alien unit. So re-roll that 2 into a hit. Now this wounds on 5s, but 6s do have an AP -3. Oh, 2 wounds. Again, she would have re-rolled because it's shooting at an alien. AP 0, no.
So 2's in cover. Oh, just about.
Hey, the Tech Priest Dominus is there, he might as well shoot at the race as well. Do the Volkite Blaster. Hits 3 times, so wounds on 3s. 6s do mortal wounds in addition. I can reroll because Benediction is active on him. So they all wound, plus 2 mortal wounds.
So 2's to save. Oh, another fail, so that kills 1, and then mortal wounds will result in 1 being able to do 2 wounds.
And he's got his pistol, which hits. This wounds on a 4. It does, and it's AP -1.
Saved. So we lose another Wraith, which also doesn't come back.
Do the Eliminators next. They're going to shoot the Technomancer because he's out in the open and doesn't have his Crypto Thralls. Mortis rounds once again, so 3 shots on 2s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. They all wound at -2.
So these will be 6s.
Yep.
He's dead. So the Technomancer is killed. I'm going to leave him there for a minute because I'm going to spend a command point to try and bring him back at the end of the phase, but before that happens, the Battle Sisters and the Infiltrators killed 2 Scarab bases and brought 1 down to 1 wound remaining. And then I will spend a command point for Resurrection Protocols. So he comes back on a 4+. No.
In the charge phase, the aggressors are going to try and charge the remaining destroyer and his little friend. Going to need a big roll, like more than a 4. We will command point re-roll it.
Oh, an 11. That is actually what you needed.
So they're going to get in like that. And then I'm going to declare a charge with the Seraphim on the death marks. Needing another big roll, so I used the 5 miracle dice. 8 is not enough, needed a 10.
So at the start of the fight phase, I'm going to use the Plasma Sight's ability on the Scorpic Destroyer because if the aggressors kill him, it will be useless anyway, so I might as well try. So on a 1, the Destroyer is killed. No, he's still alive.
Going to spend a command point for Gene Raw Might as well, and we're all going to put all our attacks on the Destroyer because he's the dangerous one. 13 attacks on 4s, 6s automatically wound. So 3 auto wounds plus 5 extra that wound on 3s, getting a total of 7 wounds.
He does have a 5+ save though because he's got the Chronometron on him, so I need to make 6 of them. No. But look out, the Canonic Plasma Sight has 1 attack with its monomolecular proboscis, which hits on a 4. Or it hits, Strength 4 so wins on a 5. No. And then in the morale phase, the Plasma Sight disappears because there's no destroyers nearby. So then we will be on to Necron's turn 2, but actually I think it's going to be my turn to concede at the start of my turn 2 because there's literally nothing I can do. I'm going to gain 10 victory points for holding 1 objective. The aggressors making that charge into objective 5 is actually probably sealed the deal really. Whereas the Imperium are going to continue to rack up 33 because objectives 2, 3 and 6 are all over their side of the board. I can send 1 Wraith out to tie up the AdMech units probably for a turn, but it won't last all that long. And the rest of my army will has about a 5-inch or 6-inch move, so it can move out and then it will just get shot to bits. We've seen many games where the Necrons move out and get obliterated by Imperial firepower, so it's really not going to be very interesting to just watch all that again. So I think we'll actually call that an Imperial victory in the penultimate campaign mission. So having a look at the last campaign reward, the Imperium win the ability to deny the Necrons' abilities to deploy units in a location other than the battlefield, although strategic reserves can still be used. So we'll see if they choose to use that in the final game, which will be in the next episode, but we'll recap this game for you now. So that was the game for issue 89 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine and the penultimate battle in our narrative campaign. How do you think that went?
Well, I won pretty convincingly, I think, so it definitely went fairly well. But I think just me getting to go first and consolidating over 3 objectives in the first turn and getting all my banners up, you were easily on the back foot. Yeah, I was very lucky to make that charge with the aggressors. I think that really did seal the deal. I was a bit surprised you didn't move the Scarabs into the middle with their big advance, but to be honest, I probably would have just shot them away, so you wouldn't have held the objective, and you'd still only have gone 10.
I would have denied you 10 victory points, but then I would have been in range of the Flamers, so, I mean, there were 3 more battle rounds where you were going to be scoring a vast number of victory points, so in the scheme of things, I don't think it would have made all that much difference.
And also, I think maybe I was a bit gamey with my objective placement. It was within the letter of the rules, but again, I almost certainly would have put 3 at least on my half of the board, and I could have been in range of them.
Yeah, I mean, you did put them basically the minimum distance possible from the board edge, but you could have put them slightly further forward and it wouldn't have made much difference, because you would have just moved forward and been on them, and I still wouldn't have had the units to take them.
Like, you may have had a very slim chance if you'd made the Dreadnought explode.
Yeah, the Heavy Destroyer was there to scare the Dreadnought, and sure, you actually got a good shot in. I might have actually been better, to be honest, to do what I did in the previous game and ignore the Dreadnought and dealt with it later, because it was still far away at the back and behind stuff. But the difference between this game and the previous game was that I had more firepower in the previous game that I was able to use against other stuff, whereas in this, we're only really talking the Heavy Destroyer anyway. It's not like I had other guns that I shot at the Dreadnought that could have been better used elsewhere.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think it's been the usual case of when we start relatively far apart, is I concentrate on your faster, scary melee units like the Destroyers and the Wraiths, and once they're gone, you're a bit too slow to get back into position, I guess. My reinforcements came in on that flank, and they'd be very annoying to get rid of as well.
Essentially, this game would have gone better for me if it had been a messier game. Going first would have helped, I imagine, because I would have been able to get further up the board, and then being able to do more damage to you and get units in different places, but because you had the initiative, it was very smooth sailing for you, so my reserves wouldn't have done anything. The flayed ones and stuff like that are much better when you've got other threats to deal with as well. And this is also bearing in mind the fact that I rolled really well for my reanimation protocols in the first turn, some of which are on camera, some were off, and rolled quite well for my saves. So I think like the Wraiths, I think I made 4 out of 5 invulnerable saves against the Plasmas. If I'd rolled worse for that, they would have just been completely destroyed. So yeah, it simply would have just been a massacre if we'd carried on. So we might as well talk a little bit more about Kyria Draxus instead. She didn't do very much in this game because she didn't need to, but she has a couple of interesting abilities.
I mean, she's not bad. She's got the targetable smite, which is very useful. I'd say especially against Necrons, because mortal wounds from psychic powers cannot be reanimated from. Although her psychic power they give her in the magazine, technically she should have a choice of 6, but the one they gave us in the magazine, not really that useful against Necrons. I mean, on average it should happen, because Necrons are all Egypt 10, but I imagine smite is actually just going to do more damage anyway. I mean, you could potentially get like a Lich Guard and do a melee attack and kill another Lich Guard, or the Heavy Destroyer would be a good target to dominate, but it's only got a 12-inch range and the Heavy Destroyer's in the back, so it's very hard to get optimal use out of it.
Yeah, the only other thing she's got going for her really is the Paralysis Grenades, which she has to charge to use, so it's putting herself in danger, but against a non-melee unit, she's not too bad. If it's a non-melee Xenos unit, so she's re-rolling all hits and wounds with her Power Fist, she could beat Necron Warriors, for example. She's got a decent enough save to survive their
she'd be
attacks.
good for helping, like, say, aggressors, or helping support support even Skitarii Rangers, I suppose.
Yeah.
But she has to charge to do it, so she can't use them defensively. Also, her Wall of Trade is really not very helpful.
Well, it only helps her,
Yeah.
and only to do a few select things, which...
Things that she doesn't seem to have an awful lot of trouble with anyway. Yeah, I mean, Inquisitors, I think in general, are never like a meta choice, and they can fill niche roles, but again, they're never really that amazing for their points cost. Generally, probably take them just for some bit of variety, or if you've got some sort of narrative you want to tell. In ninth, I probably would actually be most useful in, say, a Battle Sisters of Army that doesn't have any psykers in it by default. Probably not very fluffy. I doubt the Battle Sisters would be too happy about that. Space Marine Librarians are probably better than Inquisitors. They're part of the Agent of the Imperium faction, which technically, I guess you could play as its own faction, but it's basically just Inquisitors and Assassins, and you could take them as part of other Imperial factions.
In my opinion, if Inquisitors ever became like a competitive choice, if you're playing match play kind of thing, then they've kind of done it wrong, because I think it's good that they should have interesting abilities that you can make tactical use of, but they shouldn't ever be like an automatic inclusion, I think, because Inquisitors do fight on battlefields, but that's not their job. The Inquisitors should get focused in the novels and in the role-playing games and video games and stuff, because they mostly operate in the background. They're supposed to hunt down insurgents and cults and things. Maybe the Demon Hunters slightly less, because they would be fighting with the Grey Knights and stuff like that on occasion, but generally speaking, Inquisitors are not supposed to dominate battlefields. They're not really even battlefield commanders. Obviously everyone will do what they say, but that doesn't actually make them good at commanding. It's not their skill set. If you're going to have them on the tabletop, I would feel like it should be like in a narrative context. But like with this, exactly, because it's a narrative campaign, and the whole point is she's looking for Illuminor Szeras. And her model's quite cool. She's a bit different to all the other factions. She's obviously closest to the Battle Sisters, but that's mainly because she's a human in power armour. But having an Eldari gun and a sort of familiar, so it definitely marks her out as being a radical side of the Inquisitors. And I think she's also the only Ordo Xenos Inquisitor who has a model as well. Certainly the only one current. There was a Forge World one at one point, but the Ordo Xenos has always been the faction that gets the least sort of love on the tabletop, so actually the fact they got one was nice if you like the Ordo Xenos, I suppose. But anyway, that is it for this episode and this video, so let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We will be back in the final episode, where we will see the outcome of the narrative campaign and see what the conclusion of Illuminor Szeras' evil scheme is. And we'll also have a separate video where we look at the whole collection and go over our conclusions for the entire Imperium series. So stay tuned for that. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye for now.